question that came in on YouTube, how can I help a child deal with stress of having an angry parent?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of, look.
This is common.
A lot of parents on the autism spectrum are angry. Hello. And you know, like you can say something to me that brings me right back to a day when my child was going through intervention where we were discriminated against, and I can be angry all over again like it was yesterday, like it's today.
Wow.
You know, so I do think it's commonplace. I think that it's one of the things that autism parents have in common is that there is a level of anger that we need to be addressing. But how do we help the child?
So many levels, because actually I am just recently, I was helping a family.
Yeah.
And the anger had nothing to do with autism.
Mm-hmm.
It was just some people have anger management problems.
Yeah.
And it's pretty common out there.
Yeah.
And don't project any of your own feelings onto the child first. Make sure that when let's say there is a parent, you know, a little bit out of control and our kids are watching it, don't add to their stress. Yeah. Because I think many times it's easy for us, parents want to protect their kids, so they want to make sure a host of things are not happening. But when you're trying to make sure a host of things are not happening, a lot of times that stresses our kid out more because maybe they didn't even know that was a possibility. They didn't know that was a consequence.
Yeah.
So really trying to figure, I don't know what level your child is at, I don't know the age, but a lot of times is, you know, you watch them, you make sure they're okay, and when it's over, the episode, or if you have them in a safe place, make sure everybody's emotions are down, including your own, before you sit down and talk to the child about what happened, you know? And, you know, just ownership actually is a really vague concept for a lot of our kids. They don't know, like, how does it make me feel versus how it makes you feel. They feel like, you know, perspective taking is a main problem for cognition. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times is, if you can, trying to figure out where the child is at, mm-hmm. and then addressing whatever issues they have. Don't bring in more, because I think that usually confuses a child more. Mm-hmm. If they're not able to, you know, you're worried about, you know, the future and this. And I know, like, I sit and I had to talk to a parent because she was talking to him when he was, I don't know, 10, about when he's a father, he shouldn't be yelling. And the kid was just like, I have no clue what you're talking about. Right. And I know mom was just very protective, and that was the correct conversation to have with the older child. Right. That was typical, neurotypical. Right. But for her 10-year-old, that had nothing. He just wanted to know that when's dad going to stop slamming things. Yeah. You know, that's all he really wanted to know. Yeah. So learning, like, you know, when this, giving him a way to cope. Yes. You know, that for safety. Yes. Like if you need to leave the room, go to your room, you can close the door, put on your headphones. Yeah, create a safe space for yourself. Create a safe space for him, for himself. Yeah. And just showing him, like, this is what you can do when these episodes happen. Yes. And teaching it in multiple places. Yeah. Because if you're out, what do? You know, you can go to the car. Yeah. You know, ask to go to the car, and we'll go with you. Create that safe space for him, and then you can just check in later on, and figure out, like, what do you need? What can I do for you? How can this work? And I don't know if he's asking why questions. A lot of our kids don't. Yeah. They might be wondering why and when. Yeah. But they're, you know, just, you have to keep it at their level. Yeah. Their level of understanding. Don't increase it more. Because I think that's what I've realized with all the families I worked with, where one parent or the other has had anger management, and we've had to go in because either the child is having some kind of challenging behavior afterwards or during, or if there's, like, antecedents, manipulations that we could put into place. So a lot of families, when there's certain combination of characteristics or events that happen in a home, there might be a guaranteed explosive anger or, you know, so teaching to understand, like, hey, today might be a great day to go to grandma's house and have a sleepover. Yeah. You know, providing, you know, just you have to think and plan ahead a little bit more. Yeah. And I love that this parent is saying, you know, what can I do to help them to cope with it? But, you know, I think it would be remiss of us, since we're bringing up parents being angry, you know,
there is help out there if the parent is willing and able. Obviously, you can't make somebody go to get help if they don't want it. But if there are parents who are watching and are having problems managing their own anger, I fully encourage you to go and work with an LMFT and have a place where you can express that. If you really are like, I don't have the time or the money to go to a therapist, I would recommend the best thing that I have ever found personally. I mean, there's two things that I would recommend. But Byron Katie, we've had her on the show, and she's worked extensively now with a lot of autism parents, and she does a thing that's called the work. And it's a process that you write whatever the thing is that is making you angry, and then you have to flip it and discuss whether it's true or not true. It's a 5-step thing, and I'll tell you, it has helped me more than anything else with anger. Because I think it's a very quick way of doing what the other thing is that I'm going to recommend, which is acceptance commitment therapy, which there are great books about that, and even a book that is written by an autism parent called The Reality Slap. Russ Harris, I think, is the author of that, I think. But it's this whole concept of not saying to you, you have no right to be angry, because that doesn't work.
Yeah, that
right?
doesn't work.
That doesn't work.
That does not work.
That's just like push it down and it'll pop out someplace else. But saying you have a right to your anger, what is it are you really angry about? But are there other things besides your anger, so that we don't just become fixated on the thing that is making us angry or the thing that isn't right, and we look at everything and realize that there are a lot of good things happening while you are being angry.
And if you have a child who's in an ABA intervention program, talk to the supervisor, talk to the BCBA and say they can help you with a lot of the identifying antecedents, what to do for your child, but also they might have good referral sources for you, or your spouse. And that's how I come into it.
Yeah.
Is because the parents, are asking me like, hey, can we, during our parent training, can we talk about this issue that's happening in our household right now?
Yeah.
That maybe none of you have witnessed,
Right.
but it is something that we have to deal with. And then so it's like I talk to the parents about like, really for me, I actually like setting up the safe space for the kids.
Yeah.
That's the part that I do a lot of. But then I encourage our families all the time for counseling and, whether it's marriage counseling together or separately or both, or going to local clergy or whatever it may be, finding someone to help you, because this is something that's going to help you and your family.
Yeah. And I just want to be clear for anybody who's watching that a lot of times the anger that sometimes it's anger about something that your child cannot do, sometimes it's about that or a behavior that your child is engaging in. But my experience of the parents that I work with, 9 times out of 10, our anger is the rest of the world and how they're treating our child.
Yeah.
That's where the anger.
I've seen a lot
and
of
the
that,
people who should be doing their jobs and getting us the funding and the support and whatever, who don't for whatever reason. That's where the anger comes in. But anyway, we're so out of time. But I appreciate you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate all of you for being here. Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.